Hi, friends. In this episode, I'm speaking with Adrienne Barker, a seasoned expert in corporate politics and etiquette, who shares her personal journey from feeling lost in the intricacies of business social skills to now becoming a certified consultant in international protocol and corporate etiquette. Part of being seen as a leader and being promoted includes showing up with executive presence, knowing how to navigate various nuances within the business social world. And so it becomes very important that we understand what it is in our personal branding that we should be improving or including to climb the corporate ladder successfully. If you're ready, let's dive in. Securing a big salary should be as easy as asking for more, right? Turns out it's a little bit more than that. First, let me ask you, which of these apply to you? Reading org announcements with envy as other people get promoted? Working long hours with little to show for it? Getting more degrees hoping to be seen? Don't feel bad. I made the same mistake myself without even realizing it. And it's not your fault. In this podcast, I'm going to help you master the strategy and techniques on how to get promoted, how to double your paycheck, and how to secure more flexibility without adding more work or more degrees.
You are listening to Salary Negotiations Made Simple, the show that builds your confidence and inspires you to negotiate for the career you deserve. Do you want to double your salary, secure an ideal career, and increase your confidence to powerfully negotiate every career move? Then you are in exactly the right place.
Hello, Adrienne. Welcome to the studio. How are you today?
I am great. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Absolutely. It's a delight to have you. I would love for you to kick us off with a brief introduction and how you help people.
I help people because I know what you may need because I didn't have it. So what happened for me is I grew up in a family business, sales, promotional products, loved it. But I knew I was missing something. I was missing etiquette. And my parents, they raised us beautifully. They have now passed, but it's nothing on them. It's just that I really didn't know. I actually had a difficult time more with like dining skills and mastering that, how to order correctly, how to pick someone up correctly. I wanted to make sure I understood how to do handshakes and introductions. So all of that, I had this feeling, I just knew that I needed to do a better job so I could feel more comfortable, because what was happening is I was going to all these meetings, but it was holding me back. Absolutely. So I took some time to see what school I wanted to do, because actually I didn't want to teach children. And I'm not trying to say that I don't want to teach children, because now I do. But in the beginning, I wanted to go to a program that was strictly for corporate education. So I went to I'm a graduate of the Protocol School of Washington, out of Washington, D.C., and I have earned the International Protocol and Corporate Etiquette Consultant certification through them. And it was an amazing course and over a week and a lot of money. Anyway, so that's my story.
Awesome. So corporate etiquette, how does that help us? Or what are some things that you see people, once they go through your program or training, come out of the other end realizing what they didn't have in the beginning?
So we got a lot of brains coming out of college and universities, a lot of educated, very smart, intelligent students that have graduated and going on to the work field. But what they don't teach is that soft skill, or what we like to actually call it essential skills. I'm sorry, excuse me. Mm-hmm. A little tickle in the throat. So that what's important is to really understand first how to make your introduction, how to introduce yourself, how to shake hands, what to do when you're walking into someone's office. So all of that was in the back of my mind, that I wanted to make sure that I felt comfortable in doing that. Was I'm making sales calls. Am I giving the first impression that I should? Mm-hmm. How do I look? And I'm not the best dresser. My mom told me that a lot. You need to work on your clothing, Adrienne. But I had what saved me is my passion and my excitement and my motivation and my determination and my perseverance. But is that enough? Because you're not going to get all of that in the first 30 seconds of meeting me. I understood that I needed it. I also understood that people around me needed it. but then I knew that I had to go and learn it. And so it's very important because it can make you feel comfortable. Real quick story. I remember being at a networking meeting and I was sitting, it was a group of business people, local chamber was having an amazing event. And as I sat down, I noticed that there was like the city's attorney next to me. You had some of the people from the mayor's office too were there, and everyone seemed a little uncomfortable. And I sat there and I was able to grab my glass of water to have a sip. And it was like all of a sudden, everyone around the table grabbed their water because they realized, oh, I'm going to follow her suit. She took the glass in the right. And so those are the little things. Just so happened in that meeting, the roles were put in front of me. So I was able to take a role and then pass it around. When was the last meeting that you've been to where you had roles at the table and nobody knows what to do with it? Nobody asked. And so the roles go uneaten because nobody knows how to handle the roles. So sometimes it's the simplest things that we need to learn.
Absolutely. Now, do you have a formula? One thing you said really caught my attention was providing that introduction, because a lot of us, I think, can get into speaking and get into the nuts and bolts, but the first impression is so important. Any formula or trick that you can share that people can take away after listening to this to say, okay, I can apply this and sound really professional, show up with executive presence with this introduction for myself?
So now here's the thing. If you're walking into an office building and you have an interview, first of all, the first thing I say is when you get in your own car, after you leave your house, just make believe there's a camera on you. That means don't speed, don't drive, because you ever hear the story of, oh, I was driving and this crazy driver, and then the person cut me off, and then they pulled in front of me in the parking lot, and then I saw them rush in the elevator and cut me off the elevator. And when we got upstairs, I was there to interview them. So right away they lost that interview, right? Because they did everything wrong, even though they didn't even know that they were on interviews. I always say, just make sure from the minute you get into your car, be a good example. Don't drive rushing crazy to the interview, because all of that, you never know who's watching. You just never know. So keep that in mind. But wait to be interviewed, because there is a difference. Now, if you are the one that's doing the interviewing, then you would make your proper introductions. But if I'm going in for a job, so I'm sitting there, by the way, when you're in your waiting room, don't be on your phone. It's okay to wait. It's okay to pick up a magazine, but don't get engrossed in your phone, just so that when they look out and peek at you to see if you're still there, make sure that you're representing yourself, that you're excited. Sit up straight, look excited. Wait, like sometimes it happens there too. It can happen in the waiting room. You have to I just keep a camera on me. I just have that like feeling, okay, I'm being watched, even though it's myself watching me. And then you're going to be introduced. So at that point, just remain calm and wait for the introduction to be made, and then say, hello, it's nice to meet you. And then, of course, it's all about doing a great handshake, even though it may be off now because of COVID, and maybe everyone's sick, or maybe there's a reason why someone says no, and don't get offended. But if you are making the introductions, if you were going to introduce me, and you're going to introduce me to the president of the company. In this case, it goes by the formulas is in essence, who's more important, right? In this case, because I am an interviewee, a potential employee, you would say my name first. So you would say, Mr. Joseph, I want to introduce you to Adrienne Barker. Adrienne, this is our president, Mr. Joseph. And that kind of strategy goes on and on. Now, if you were going to introduce the mayor to a constituent, who would be more important? The constituent, right? So that you would think the same thing. But if you were introducing the mayor to the president, you would then have it be the president would be first. Easy formula, but actually took our class a little time to get it straight, because you get nervous. You want to make sure that you're introducing people correctly.
Absolutely. And how about introducing yourself? People can get very short or very long-winded and maybe put in information that's not necessary. So what is like the short and succinct version of introducing yourself if you are a interviewee going in for a role?
Dorothy, thank you so much for the introduction. Mrs. Jones, I am very excited to meet you, and I'm grateful to be able to be here, or I'm thankful to be here today. I think that it's okay to express that your gratitude and that you appreciate their time and being there or coming down to meet you. Often you're interviewing the HR, but if that president of the company comes in, or first off, anyone comes in, I stand up immediately. That's like a lost art. So if I was sitting at a table, Dorothy, and you came over to me, before you reach me, I'm already on my feet. That is very important. So if you're sitting down and you're having an interview and I'm across from you and I'm sitting and we're both in our chairs sitting and someone comes in and you said, oh, there's Mr. Jones, our president, boom, I'm up. I probably would stand up anyways but that may not be so smart for everyone, but I believe in standing up. I believe that's a sign of respect. And I always do it. And it doesn't matter if the person's younger than me or older than me. I want to stand and greet someone and give them a nice firm handshake.
Absolutely. Yeah, all of those nonverbal cues, giving a firm handshake or standing up when somebody enters the room is definitely probably adds to your overall composure and presence.
Exactly.
Yeah. So could you explain how having the right etiquette, the corporate etiquette in the right place at the right time adds to our confidence?
Oh, absolutely. Because once you know what you're doing with your silverware and and all those wine glasses that you may be lucky enough to have in front of you, then the conversation is conversation. And you're not wondering, like I was telling Dorothy before this, I remember very clearly sitting in a very fancy restaurant, I think it was Morton's, and I wasn't sure. Do I order the salad? Everyone's ordering the salad. They all got a dirty martini. Do I order a dirty martini? Oh, they got soup. I want soup. Do I order soup? How does that go? What do I do? And so I really wasn't enjoying the conversation because what fork are they picking up? How can I enjoy a conversation if I am concerned with all of that? So I really have to say that it is important to make sure that as the guest, but also make sure you know as a host, because sometimes, so let's just say that I'm the host and I'm having you for dinner. How can I make you feel comfortable? I've already made the reservations at the restaurant. You're walking into the restaurant and I give you you're my guest. I'm going to give you the best seat in the house, right? I'm not going to take the best seat. You get the best seat in the house. I'm going to sit you to the left of me. But some of the things I may do if we have a larger group is and you really shouldn't do this if you have such a tight budget, but what if you're at a restaurant and the average meal is $40, but there's 3 items on the menu that are $150? And you may be a little concerned. You could always say something like, I heard the steaks and the burgers and the pasta is absolutely delicious here. So you can set a little bit of this is what you're thinking. That could help a little bit. You could pre-ask the restaurant for a menu so that you don't have to worry about all of that. You don't have to worry about, I remember being in a restaurant and ordering water. And I didn't know really the difference between still and tap and bottled. And they didn't really explain it. And it wouldn't have been right for them to explain it. It would have been a weird conversation for all of us, right? How much is the bottle? What's the difference? So I didn't ask. And oh my God, it was like $150 just for the bottled water. So I realized, okay, when you make a reservation and it's a little fancy, it's not paper plates, then make sure that if you're really concerned that you have a pre-planned menu. Talk to them beforehand how you would like the water served. Let them know beforehand if you're going to be paying for the alcoholic beverages, because it could be different. Oh, I love an orange juice, what is it called? Screwdriver. And then, oh, you know what? Drinks are you can get your drinks up at the bar. So that way you're taking them from the table and they go to the bar and you're not really talking about money there. So in my mind, there's an answer for everything. It's just when are you going to know and anticipate the questions that'll be asked so that you can make it comfortable for everyone. Because to me, one of the most uncomfortable things is when the bill comes. And I get really uncomfortable. And of course, I want to take the bill because I grew up watching my parents pay for every meal. So that wants to come from me. I want to pay for every meal. But what I always do is settle beforehand. I give them my credit card. They know that they have that. So when the meal is done, nobody has to wait for me to pay the bill. It's all set. And I can stand up and thank everyone. And in essence, say, without saying the meal is over, a lot what you said, your actions speak louder than words. So you can stand up and you can thank everyone. You can Ask if everyone would like to go next door and listen to some music. It doesn't have to be awkward. Just think ahead.
So a lot of it seems like you're being viewed, right? As you're climbing up the ranks in corporate, you're being watched, or without even knowing, people are emulating you or judging you or whatever. So is there a case to be made to say, I'm being myself, so why should I have to follow these rules of etiquette that sound, or maybe to especially the younger generation, sound a little old fashioned or archaic? How would you respond to that?
That's an easy one. You don't have to do anything you don't want to do. That you may not get that position, but nobody says you have to act a certain way. If it's not coming natural to you and you're not that kind of person that maybe has manners, then maybe that's just not the role for you. And that's okay too. I will share that I didn't understand growing up. Why did my parents take someone that they were looking at for, so they were old-fashioned traditionalists. They started their business in 1955. But by the time I joined in the 80s, I would watch them take potential employees out to dinner. And it was usually like an hour and two. And I remember thinking, my gosh, this is crazy. And they would ask all kinds of questions and the person would get relaxed. But my parents were so brilliant. They were doing it because to them, they wanted to see how were they treating everyone else. And I remember one day I saw something and I said, oh, I grew up, you thank the servers. And I could share another story with that. But I remember thinking, wow, they were not very nice, a server. That person never got the job because my parents recognized that right away. They were, because in their mind, if you can't be nice to the people that are serving you, and my parents have always been like extra special to anyone that services us, no matter who it is or where it is. They just recognize that every position in the company is so important. And so your servers are really important. Actually, my parents had pens. Servers are special people. Flight attendants are special people. Doctors are special people. My gosh, they didn't have daughters or special people, but I was okay with that. But it's so important to really make sure that you're keeping an eye. So that's one of the things. How are they progressing in that conversation with you? Are they treating everyone nicely? If they drop something, do they know to pick it up? All of that makes a difference. If they're on their phone, or I remember, I could go into a whole thing on what not to do. One of the potential employees asked if they could order another meal for their spouse that was home. Really? So, and this is why there's corporate etiquette training, or just get on the web and ask some questions. Ask ChatGPT for some answers and how to handle yourself, because you are going to be looked at. But think of it, it's more for yourself. You want to be comfortable, so you want to know what to do. Do not have your phone anywhere on you. Put it in your pocket, put it in your phone pocketbook, whatever, but just keep it off the table. And yes, the old-fashioned manners, don't have your elbows on the table. Don't do, because sometimes you get really relaxed. My parents had this knack where they knew how to make you feel really comfortable. You almost felt like this is my mom and dad, right? Like you're like, this could be everyone's parents. And I don't know if they did that on purpose or not, but people would start letting down their guard. There's no letting down your guard when you're making a sales call or you're with clients. You've got to stay on top. Think of this. If you're invited to go out to eat, it's a lovely thing. You're very lucky to have that opportunity, but be on your best behavior.
So why don't they teach this in school? And because you come out and start in corporations and you're blind to all of the different ways, all the pitfalls, or all of the blind spots. So what is your theory, and how can somebody find their way to navigate it appropriately?
That is a problem. And I totally don't blame schools, because they have a curriculum to follow. So open up your math, open up your English, get your work done. And this is something that is considered soft skills. But in the beginning, I said the word essential skills, because now we do need it. I'm very grateful for all the programs out there, all the Chamber of Commerces out there that recognize it and will hold sessions on what to do. A lot of times schools and universities will hire someone to come in and do the training. It doesn't need to be a week of training. Learning, once you understand dining etiquette, then you got it. So it could just be one dining etiquette program. And it looks like there's a corporate etiquette educator in pretty much every state, in every area, so that you could find someone to do it. There's great ones that travel. I follow a lot of amazing etiquette educators myself. We all learn from each other. It's so important. But the reason why is probably why they don't teach you how to run a business after you graduate from business school, right? They don't really teach you how to open up your own business. Or if you go to hairdressing, right, you're taught everything but how to run your own business. So we still have a lot more to do.
One question, a lot of my clients are at the cusp or already in the boardroom. Any advice to them on if you're the newbie in the boardroom for the first time, what are some of the things they should be watchful for?
I want to say Rosalinda Randall, who I absolutely love. I met her at a MPI meeting professionals about 8 years back, wrote a book, Don't Burp in the Boardroom. That book was always special to me because there was a time that I burped in the boardroom. I thought, oh, look at me. I'm young. I'm cute. I could be in the boardroom. I could make everyone laugh. I could be funny. All I was doing was hurting myself. You have to be what people expect you to be, number one, because you're running a board. So it is important. And yes, it's fun to make fun. I mean, I'm not saying you have to be stuffy. You have to have some fun, but watch what you're doing. Don't burp in the boardroom. I have done everything wrong. So now I know how to do everything right. And pretty much it really comes down to one of the most important things that you are not taught. None of us are taught this, but focus. Stay focused in meetings, stay focused, stay away from distractions, keep anything that will distract you, including human beings, because if you're sitting next to someone that is distracting to you, that could be a problem. I try to sit next to someone who maybe can mentor me and help me a little bit if I'm new, but that's really important. And then train yourself how to focus. I can sit for over 8 hours and focus without any distractions and learn. Okay, I tested it. I've done it. I don't know if I can do 9 hours, but 8 hours, I'm good without losing my mind. Know your limit, but stay focused. That's what people want to see. Make your notes. If you are going to use your phone to make notes, let everyone know. I just want everyone to know that I like taking notes on my phone. So I just want you to know that I am not doing anything else on my phone. Trust me. You can make a joke of it, but don't start just being on your phone, because I had that one time at a meeting. It was embarrassing. And after the meeting, I said, you were on your phone the entire time. And she said, I was taking notes. And I thought, why didn't you tell me that? You should have told all of us that, because all you did was make yourself look like you weren't paying attention. So pay attention, take notes. I know for me, when I'm on a board, I get nervous about asking questions. Try to ask a question, at least one every meeting, so that you start to feel more comfortable. It takes time. Not everyone can jump in. That to me, Dorothy, is like the age, right? At 61, I could sit on a board and I'm comfortable. I could ask questions. I'm comfortable with myself. I wasn't that way. At 30, actually, often when I was asked to serve on a board, I told the truth. I said, listen, I'm excited to serve on your board, but it may take 3 or 4 meetings before I actually say anything. I just need to absorb everything. And also I have nerves. So I get really uncomfortable. Do you mind? And no, Adrienne, that's fine. When you're ready, then we're here to listen. Okay. So I already set that presence. They already know that I may not be speaking, but not to take offense with that. I just need to find my own voice.
Yeah, and staying in the boardroom for a bit. So if somebody is new, what can they do to show more confidently? So if they're not speaking, we are faced with double bind. So they come across as, especially women, come across maybe too meek or not assertive enough. So what are some tips for them to show up as confident?
Definitely sit up. Definitely sit up and have your pad of paper, have a pen. Don't ask anyone for anything. Bring your own pad, bring your own pen. Keep it simple too. Don't have this fluffy little fuzzy journal book that has all that too. Keep it very professional. And it really is just your focus. Pay attention. Look at the person who's speaking. If I'm on a board, the first thing I want, you ask me to serve on your board, the first thing I want is your Robert Rules of Order. Even I want the bylaws, and I want all the past information. I want minutes. I want to know what I'm getting into. I want to know your rules of order, because I'm the hand raiser. I'm the one that presses the Zoom hand button because I need to speak. That's me. I'm the kindergartner that likes to raise her hand and even when they say, oh no, raise, it's popcorn. Guess what? Not everyone likes popcorn style. It's a two-way street, right? I need to, as a board member, I need to know what your rules of order is, how you're handling your meeting. What is that going to look like? Do we raise our hand? Is it popcorn style? And if it's popcorn style, then which popcorn style is where everyone can just pop and speak, and there's no real rhyme or reason. And that has worked But if you're like me, you just have to find your voice, and you really have to find that voice, because otherwise, popcorn style, they will just pop right over you, and that'll be the end of it. So find out first what you're getting yourself into, so you're following the rules. So to me, it's etiquette is a set of rules, isn't it? So that's like what the key is, and following those rules. And I've always been a rule follower because I love rules. So if you don't like rules and you're going to serve on a board, you better start to follow them, or you'll find yourself out the back door pretty quickly. So that's what I have for advice. And just be professional in your look. And that's really it. Just have to stay focused.
Well, how do you handle if, and this happens quite often, right? A lot of my clients report this. Somebody talks over you, or you speak up for the very first time and somebody just completely railroads you, and you're left to either defend yourself or let it happen to you, like where someone just speaks over you. So what's the right way to handle that?
So funny enough, I did write an article about interruptions because I love audio apps. I love Clubhouse. I love Twitter Spaces. I like listening, and they're interrupting each other all the time. And then people because remember now, so I wrote an article because interrupting is an interesting topic for me. One of the things you have to remember is whatever comes out of your mouth and you say, and if I even say it to you, Dorothy, could you not interrupt me, please? Can you let me finish, Dorothy? You know what happens, Dorothy? You feel awkward, and guess what everyone else feels? Awkward, right? It's cringe, because it's not just between Dorothy and Adrienne having this. It's all of us feeling it. So I try not to say anything that would make everyone else feel awkward too. So if you interrupt me, I let you speak, because I'm thinking to myself, oh, everyone just saw you interrupt me. Like, that's cool. Like, now I know your personality. Okay. And then when you're done, I say, okay, now it's my time. Then, and let me go. So when the person, because often you're interrupting someone, or they're being interrupted because they got to just get out of their head. But if you have a pen and paper, you got the pen and paper, then the interruption's a little less, because I don't need to interrupt you. I wrote it down so I can wait my turn to tell you. And I don't want this to be like a gender bias, but I will say my time serving on boards, I have noticed that men tend to do that often. I'm not just saying to women, so that's not what I'm saying. They just tend to do it often to themselves. Why do people interrupt? And usually it's because it gets in their head and they have to spit it out. So my best advice that I use for myself, I can't tell you what to do, get a pen and paper, write it down. And then when it's your turn, sometimes I can be funny. I had it happen in a personal situation where they were just kept telling me something. And then when there was like a minute, not even a minute, a couple seconds of quietness, I said, hey, is this a debate? Because I think it's my turn now. So I try to interject a little humor just so that, because it's funny, right? Okay. And they're like, oh, yeah. Fine, Adrienne, you go. Because sometimes people get so passionate, and I love people's passion. Passion is amazing, but it also will create that I have to say it quickly now. And so just remember that too. But one of the things that with growth and life in itself, when I was younger, I had to have the last word. I mean, I don't care if I was walking out of the boardroom, I'd be like telling you that last word as I'm leaving the room. Emails, I had to have the last email. And then at one point in my 40s, I realized I don't want the last word. I don't need the last word. I don't have to ever think in my head, oh my God, I need the last word. So I don't have the last word anymore. And it's a wonderful feeling. You can have the last word. I don't need to prove myself to anyone. And maybe that's an age thing. So 61 is a lot of fun, because we don't have to have the last word.
I love that.
But that happens a lot in boardrooms where you just notice someone has to have that last. Okay, let them.
Yeah. And I guess it would be similar if somebody were to take your idea and present it as their own. Like, a lot of times when you're in the heat of the moment, you've put out an idea that's brilliant, especially for women, and then somebody else takes the idea and says it with more force or with more confidence, and that idea becomes theirs. So how are you supposed to navigate that in terms of the right etiquette to handle?
That's interesting, because I had that happen to me many times growing up in the family business, but I often sometimes felt like I wasn't heard. So I sometimes felt that as long as that idea get out there, I was happy it got out there. So actually, I've been known to give other people great ideas and say, you share that idea, because maybe that's because I worked in a family business, so I didn't have to make a name for myself or feel that way. And now I have my own business, so I still probably don't feel that way. But if you have to figure out if it's important enough for you. To me, sometimes the end result, it's what's important. So if because sometimes, let's just be real, you have some businesses which have, like I call the teacher's pet, some employees that are always in the office, always get the word of the president or vice president. And so it's okay to slip them what that idea is. Unless that idea is going to give you a huge raise and you just created something incredible. I just saw Oppenheimer, so the atomic bomb. That's like what you've done. How important is that for you to get that out? Is that really going to change the trajectory of your career? And if you feel it is, then you want to share that idea in a smart, presenting way. And not, hey, can I sit in your office? Oh, I just want to share an idea with you. That may not be the right idea, because I think that a lot of people aren't presenting things correctly as it is. They're asking for things and they're not making sure that the president, let's just say the company, are they all ears? Is it the right time for them? Some presidents of the company have open doors, but that doesn't mean that you all of a sudden you have this idea and you want to run in there and say, I've got this great idea and I have to give it to you. No, don't do that. And sometimes talking to someone else about the idea, brainstorming, is it as good as I think? Am I on the right path? How can you help me? Let's present it together. That will come with age. I'm 61, but I don't like talking about my age. And also ego, because if you have an ego and that presenting of that idea is going to make your ego, it's going to help you feel good. And, ooh, I'm getting this and maybe I'll get a raise, maybe not, but who cares? It's my ego and I'm doing it. That's different than I have an idea that I feel like this business is going to scale and do some great things. And maybe you'd like to implement my idea. Mm-hmm. So that's how I approach it. I think that is that answer good?
That is that is actually really good, because I was thinking while you were saying that, you don't have to fight every battle, right? So every brainstorming session or every place that you have ideas, everybody's throwing ideas everywhere. If you get credit for that or not, make a quick decision. Is this going to improve my brand or hurt my brand? Or is it significantly going to do anything? If not, let it go. But if it is, then set up time with the decision makers afterwards and say, hey, I took this idea, I had a similar thought, but this is how it can execute. Because that's where the execution of it is where the rubber meets the road, and you can really showcase your skills and your ability to make a difference.
The other thing is, don't do it after the fact. There's nothing weirder to me than, oh, are you talking about that idea from last week where they said everyone should wash their own dish? That was my idea. I just want to let everyone know my idea. You guys get that? Mine. Don't play.
Yeah.
Whatever called after the fact. Don't do that. Just let it go.
Just let it go. Yeah. I like that, because there's going to be so many of these mini battles, and not many it's not worth your time and energy to fight every single one of them. But put your money on the big, like, winning chips, and you should come out ahead.
The other thing, so my dad had this habit. So my parents are Gloria and Herb Barker, and it had to go Gloria and Herb Barker. Woman, my mom had to go first, always. But my dad would be, oh, Gloria had this great idea. Gloria had this great idea. And one day my mom was saying she turned to me, she goes, your father gives me credit for every good idea. And I go, that's so sweet. She goes, yeah, but not always my good ideas. I go, but that's okay. But you know what? If someone gave you an idea or partly an idea and you built on that idea, give that person credit too. The feeling that you're going to get when you are sitting in a company meeting, board, wherever it is, Zoom, make sure you give credit. I was talking to Dorothy and together we came up with this great idea. So don't bypass, because usually when it comes to credit, the person that had the idea is mad because not only someone else gave it, but they didn't say their name, because that is an amazing thing to do, because look at how you're going to be recognized. Wow, she's very humble. She just wants all she cares about is the business growth, not her own. All of that is going to ooze out of you when you are like that. That is part of corporate etiquette. That is and you don't need to be 61.
Yeah.
I could be 62 by the time you're listening to this, but you don't have to be old. You just have to understand the wisdom that we have at our age, that we don't have to have the last word, that we don't have to be the ones that always have the best ideas, that we are happy to help other people grow. There's this saying about stepping on other people to get up the ladder. we all have to help each other to get up that ladder together. And then there's a party on the roof.
Yes, absolutely. Let's have the party. Yeah, I love that abundance mindset because we can all win together versus trying to tug of war and find like a small pie for each of us. Like trying to make it bigger is the ideal.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. I love it, Adrienne. This has been wonderful. Where can people find you?
So I have Professional Global Etiquette is the name of my company. And then I have Adrienne Barker. If you don't have your URL with your name and it's available, you should buy it, just FYI, or buy it for your kids too. But if websites don't come out and they're like, go on in 10 years, don't blame me. I have adriennebarker.com. I have a couple things I just want to say before I go. There's just 2 tips too. First, I want to give my phone number because I'm not afraid to give my phone number because my secret sauce is that you could call me anytime. Try me. Nobody's ever called me at 2:00, which is good because my heart would be racing. I would be scared. But the point is that my number is 386-631-4577. But I want to give you a tip. One thing that I've noticed, and this is with the younger generation, so I'm looking at you, is when you send a text message to someone, assumptions are like really not your friend. Don't assume that they've saved your number. I get that all the time. Hey, hi. Hey, I don't know who you are because I'm really bad about saving numbers. When I send a text, it's, hi, Dorothy, this is Adrienne and blah, 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 blah. If you're, okay, that's really important. Otherwise you may be blocked. The other thing is don't send an email out without your phone number. I don't even care if it's a reply and it's like 40 threads. Put your phone number, just your name and your phone number. Make it a habit because if you've ever been looking for someone's phone number and you go through email after email and you're like, oh my God, their signature, they don't have it. That is so frustrating. And the fact that someone could be doing that if they're looking for my number and I made their life frustrating. I don't want to make anyone's life frustrating. I'm here to make life easier, happier, and more enjoyable. Every email you send, end it with your name and your phone number. Now, if you don't want people to call you, I say I won't really work. If you're going to try to sell me, I need your phone number. I don't work with someone who doesn't give me their phone number. That's really important. So if you do reach out to me, better give me your phone number because I may not buy from you. I'm open to everyone. I love meeting people. So half of my clients were always people trying to sell me. So you know what? If you're a salesperson, be open to other salespeople because that's what we do, right? And there's nothing worse than a salesperson that's not nice to another salesperson. I don't get that. But phone numbers are so important. So you've got mine, and I'm sure all my information will be available. I'm easy to find. And after 8 years of being a SCORE mentor, I was telling Dorothy, I still like to give free tips. So I'm always willing to give free tips. If you need a workshop and you want to do something for 30 minutes or an hour, something for your team, call me. That's fine. We can even go over Zoom tips because I still see a lot of Zoom things going on that are really weird. Let me get a stamp. Okay. No, we got to be professional for your own benefit.
Absolutely. And of course, we'll add your phone number and all your details in our show notes. It's been wonderful talking to you, Adrienne. You've just made my afternoon very beautiful and bright.
Oh, you're beautiful and bright. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
There you have it, my friends. Some practical advice, including the importance of preparation, focus, and maintaining professional conduct at all times to enhance your confidence and presence in any corporate environment. I hope you took away some action tips that will allow you to show up as a future leader and secure the promotion and ultimately the pay raise that you deserve. Thanks for listening, and bye for now. There you have it, my friends. As you know, I'm on a mission to close the pay gap. Every podcast episode is designed to give you the tools, techniques, and inspiration so you can bravely advocate for yourself. Thank you for listening, and bye for now.